For weeks, I have wondered what to do on a podcast. Not really. I did not really wonder. I knew also what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to record. I chose not to record them because I really don't know why I didn't record anything this whole week. I missed last week for a very stupid reason. I was like, I should record something or I should like write. So I was doing a lot of writing last week. I have a Substack to edit. With writing, I think I have a preferred posting like schedule already. I think I'm going to be posting twice a month, 2 Substacks a month, because I wanted to do four Substacks in 1 month, but I realized that I can use the first week to like pour everything down or like research as much as possible and like write every single thing down, and then use the second week to edit whatever I've like written and like make sure it like sounds cohesive. Hopefully by the end of next week you would read my very first Substack from this new schedule, which is Alone and Lonely, and it dives into like the greed of loneliness. So yeah, today I want to do something unique. It's not really unique. I listened to the Anything Goes podcast by Anima Chamberlain, and she does this, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I've not had like a serious topic in my mind. I have like a huge topic in my mind right now. It's about Christianity, transgender people, and religion. So I'm like researching on that right now, and like masculinity. I know I did an episode last year because I was like, what was my like what did I say in the episode called The Shame of Infeminate Males? Then I tried to go listen to the episode and I was sleeping and I was listening to the episode. So I was like, I need to make this podcast more interesting. And now I'm more interested because I listened to my old episodes and I'm like, oh, those are not really interesting episodes, but whatever. My idea for this episode came of Emma Chamberlain's like podcast where she talks or quizzes herself on like different topics. And she has not done this. So I did not copy her like word for word. In the beginning of this podcast, I used to copy every single thing Emma Chamberlain did, but like I'm not copying Emma for word. I am doing my own version of like quizzes, and I really want to see. I pride myself on being someone who has a good EI, like emotional intelligence. I think I have good EQ, but I could be wrong. IQ, not so much. You've been listening to this podcast for years now, so you know it's not so much. But like EQ, I would say like I have a good EQ. But we could find out today and see that my EQ is not really good. I hope it's good. I'm like betting that it will be good. The day I'm recording this, Taylor Swift released her new album. It's really I've not finished the album, but like the first track from the album is really good. I like that the Ophelia, like the fate of Ophelia. I think that's the name of like the first track. I really like the song. I heard a quote this morning and I was like, oh my god, somebody should shoot me with a gun because I heard just because McDonald's sells the most burgers doesn't mean McDonald's makes the best burgers. And someone said that in reference to Taylor Swift's new album. I've not heard the whole album, but when I heard that quote, I wrote it down because recently I got a book and I've been writing down a lot of stuff. Um, I've also gotten into the Machiavellians. Um, I think that's a very stupid ideology, but I don't understand it well enough. I'm just like in the beginnings of like being a Machiavellian. And if you had met me 2 years ago and told me about the Machiavellians and like the Stoics, I'd have wanted to join them, but I've turned a new leaf. I'm now a human being again. I've stopped being a shadow of a human. I like the format of this quiz episodes because the questions are not from like strangers. These are like curated questions by like journalists or whoever created the questions. And I get to answer the questions and you get to know more about me. Using the following keys below, answer the questions based on how strongly you agree or disagree with the statements. The first question is, am I able to regulate my emotions? I would say I'm really good at regulating my emotions. I'm not someone who I get irritated really easily. Like a lot of things irritate me, but I know how to play it off. It doesn't matter. I get sad very quickly and I get angry very quickly. I get happy very easily and I get irritated really easily. But I know how to control it and not lash out on people when I feel like someone is not my vibe. I really don't know what to say. I know how to like control it when like I feel someone's on my vibe. So I would say agree, but not strongly agree. Do you pick up on body language cues? I would say I do. I do. I pick up on body language cues a lot, but I pick up on negative body language cues better than I pick up on positive ones. I My brain works in a way that it never sees, and my brain has never thought anything that's happening in life is positive. It has always considered things that are going on to have an ulterior motive, and that motive has to be mean or wicked in some way. So I'll put neutral. I don't. So the question is, I fly off the handles easily. I don't. I would say I strongly disagree. I don't really fly off the like. You could irritate me, and you would not know you irritated me. I don't fly off the handles so quickly. I know how to regulate that. I would like stop talking to you for a while and then go back to talking to you. In the past, if someone irritated me, I would stop talking to the person forever. But now, like I have learned how to take a break from the person for like a day, two, maybe 3 days, maybe a week, and then go back and talk to the person instead of like making it awkward and telling the person I was irritated by what they did. I just like be like, okay, let's really analyze why I'm irritated right now, and then it takes a day or two, and then I start talking to the person again. I grow from my emotional experiences. I would say I do. I think I do, and I put strongly agree because I think I've had like really bad emotional like issues in my life, and I've like prevailed, like moved past, not moved past it, but like existed while dealing with the emotions. Like there was a time I was like considering suicide. I know I joke a lot about on this podcast about like killing myself, but like there was a time I was considering suicide, like seriously, or like running away forever. And like I don't know how to explain it. This was like in 2022, 2023. Okay, so when I recently started a podcast, 2022, 2023, and I know I recorded a podcast episode in 2023 called I Finally Found a Purpose. And it was me talking about like the purpose of this podcast. Like this podcast gives me something to like actually do. But in 2022, 2023, I was deathly suicidal. I don't think I thought of it. I never planned any I never had any plans to do it, but I always had it at the back of my head. And I always hoped I like died. So I swear when I was like in 2023, 2022, 2023, I always hoped for death every single night. And I I was talking to myself about this topic on like something I said 2 weeks ago that I do like a series on TikTok called Food for Thought, and I think I was talking about suicide and in one aspect, and when I was going through this, I'm not a silent like suicider. Like if I'm gonna kill myself, every single person on the planet's gonna know. I would do a podcast, edit it, record it before I kill myself, and tell you that's gonna be the last episode. But whatever. Um, I was going to a church. I'll tell you. I think the story about this church is coming very soon. Maybe next year, or like in a couple months, a couple weeks from now. But I was going to my old church I used to go to, and when I was going through this, I told people at the church, and everybody was like looking at me weird. I was like, "Oh my god!" That's when I realized that if you're like going through like mental problems, don't tell people because people are just gonna look at you strange, and they're gonna try because it makes people uncomfortable when you're what I've noticed, not everybody, but like, because if someone tells me they're like being suicidal, I'm not gonna make fun of them. Like my cousin and I were talking on Monday, or yeah, Tuesday, sorry, and she was telling me like she considered suicide one time in her life, and I was like, oh no, next time just call me and I'll be there for you. But like I feel when someone's like maybe because I've gone through it, and maybe those people had never gone through it, but like I used to tell them that I prayed not to wake up in the morning, and everybody was like smiling and laughing, and I was like, and then I was like, oh, am I the problem? But now thinking of it, I think they were uncomfortable. How comfortable I was at talking about it. I don't know. When making high stakes decisions, I try to factor in how I feel now and how I will feel later. I always factor how I feel now, and I rarely factor how I feel later on. I always think that later on I'll feel really bad about my decision. I am at the back of my mind every single time I make a decision. I would think, "Oh, you're making the wrong decision. You're literally making the wrong decision. Oh, you're gonna tell this person this thing about yourself. That person is gonna come one day and make fun of you about that thing. So you better keep it to yourself." And so, what are you telling this person? Like, that's literally how my brain talks. My brain never stops. It's like, don't. Do you want this person to make fun of you about this thing one day? So don't tell anybody. So I make decisions on how I feel in the moment, and I am aware of my brain being paranoid in the future. Even if the decision I made was right for that time, my brain always thinks, "Oh, that was a wrong decision that you made like 2 years ago. Maybe if you chose to drink water with that meal, you would not fart in the gym. Now you're farted in the gym." Okay. I make my examples so annoying, but like, yeah, I think of my future. I think of how I feel in the future. I think of my past, my present, and my future feelings, and I use my past feelings to dictate my future feelings because I've never experienced my future feelings, so I would not know. I just use like the past to dictate it. So, emotional setbacks are hard, but I can manage them. Yeah, yeah. Emotional setbacks are difficult, but I have learned to manage them. Like I don't think there's anybody on the planet, living or dead, that I have given my the only person that has control over my emotions, aside from myself, is my brain. I don't consider my brain, like, if you've been listening to this podcast for years now, I don't consider my brain to be part of me. I consider my brain to be the demon that has to live in my head. But I should stop using like spiritual things. I consider my brain like an op, because I think that's the only, like, I think that's the biggest setback. But I manage it really well. I just ignore it until I can segment it into a part of my memory. Um, yeah, but I think it affects me a lot more than I could say neutral, because I think it affects me more than I let on. I've never, like, when I was a child, every single time I say this story, it's so funny. But when I was a child, not a child, yeah, a child. So in primary school and secondary school, I was bullied for the whole like duration. So yeah, whatever. I can express a variety of emotions to others. I never express any emotion aside from a funny clown to other people, because I don't trust any other person but myself. If I am sad with you, you will be killed. Yeah, I don't express any other emotion. Either I'm numb or I'm a clown. Like, I don't believe in being emotional with other people. I don't believe in telling people my problems. I don't believe there's nobody on the planet that I don't think there's anybody I have like considered telling my problems to. I don't think anybody's like worth it. But yeah, um, I think I strongly disagree in this one. I might not be emotionally intelligent. Anyway, I remain collected during conflict. I am very collected during conflict. When someone irritates me, I know how to like step back, and I always think I'm better than other people. I know I say I never think I'm better than other people, and I said this months ago, but like, I always think I'm better than other people. In no, I've never thought I was smarter than anybody. I've never thought of that. The way I think I'm better than other people, I think, oh, I really don't have to be having this conversation with you, because I'm literally losing brain space from talking to you. But that doesn't mean I'm smarter than another person. That just means like I don't like arguing. So I'm better than you because I don't like arguing. Yeah. But I argue as well. But like, when I say argue, I mean conflict. Like, I would never punch someone or fight someone, or yell at someone for, in the past I would, but like now I don't think, unless you like are in my hair and I can't rid of you, like my brain. I get really angry at my brain sometimes. I feel My goal for my life is to get a lobotomy. If I can get a lobotomy, I'll be the happiest person on the planet, but I can't. So, um, yeah, I remain unjudgmental and accept the emotions of others. I really accept the emotions of others, and I don't judge people. I judge people in my head because my brain, like I said, is an op. But I would never make fun of that person in their face. Sometimes I fear my face betrays me sometimes, but I try as much as possible to like stay serious in like serious moments because I've never gone to someone for like about a serious topic. If I'm going to tell you a serious topic, I'm going to make it a comedy special. Like I'm never going to tell you a serious like for example, let's say I find your missing dog. I will tell you I found your missing dog in a funny way. Not in a happy way or a sad way. I don't know how to explain it, but I would never judge somebody else's emotional. I always accept people's emotion. I was talking to my cousin on Monday, like I said, or Tuesday, and she was bawling because she's in medical school and she has like this big exam in like 6 months, and her parents are both doctors, and they were like complaining that she doesn't read as much as she should be reading. And she was telling me, oh, like her mom and dad, they don't like help her read. Like they are doctors, they should like know how hard this is. Like whenever she tells them like she doesn't understand something, they always tell her to like find a tutor that they will pay for it. But she wants them to teach her. And I was like, oh, I get your like pain, baby. I get your pain. But I wish I was smart enough, but I'm not that smart, so I can't help you. I remain at ease in challenging situations. Yes, I do. I remain as calm as a cucumber. Um, you could break my head open, and I will still remain calm. Like I don't think there's anything on the planet that'll make me scream. Unless Bella Hadid comes to this podcast, then I will scream. Then I will not be calm. I will be indeed a different human being. I will literally blossom from this cocoon that is myself right now. Whatever. I remain calm when things are off. I think I do. I think I strongly remain calm. I agree with that. I blurt things out without thinking about the impact on others. It depends. If I want to hurt that person, then I would literally say it. But if I know like there's like an emotional connection or like for example, there was this person. This story is so annoying. But there was this person and I was friends with this person and I said something I know I I know this person wanted to hear. But that was not what I wanted to say. I wanted to say you are wrong. But yeah, I really wanted to just be a good person. Not a good person, but I really understood how the situation was. So I had to be a human being. I feel grateful for others and share appreciations. I recently started doing this. I never used to like share. I always, when I was a kid growing up, I always said thank you, but I never meant to thank you. I just said thank you because it was customary. But now I feel like appreciation and like gratitude whenever someone does something for me. In the past, like if you did something for me, I would never. I only said it because it's the norm. That like because that's what everybody says. I never said it because I meant it. But now, like if someone like, for example, opens like leaves the door open for me when I'm like like when we're walking into the gym, I'll be like, oh, thank you so much. But in the past, I would just be like, thank you. But now I get it a lot more than younger me did. So I would say strongly agree. I accept difficult emotions, even negative ones like anger. Like I said, I accept my anger, but I don't believe if you're angry at a situation or somebody that you should like pour it onto somebody else or like pour it onto the person you're angry at. I feel whenever, like I said in the Charlie Kirk episode, the unrequited love episode, I said I believe we should always respond to situations and never react because I think whenever you react, it's really hard to like come off of like a reaction. But when you're like responding to situations, it's better, in my opinion. I felt more comfortable in like situations whenever I responded because I knew I was not wrong. Even if what I responded to, if what I said to you was mean in my response, at least that was a response. Like in the episode I'll do about my old church, like my leader was a B word, and I wrote it to her like after like months of like understanding how I felt about that old church and that leader. I wrote, I wish you the best for your life. I wish your marriage, because she was getting married to my other leader. I was like, I wish your marriage and everything goes well, but you are 100% a B word, and I would never see myself like considering you as a human being. But I wish you the best in life. That was the text message I sent to that person. If I bump into that person tomorrow and the person sees me and asks me, "Oh, how do you feel about this text?" I will stand 10 toes deep in that text because that person was not a good person to me in the past, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm able to adjust my habits when situations calls for it. I do. Yeah, I think being able to adjust your habits is like really essential, and I think I am really good at that. I'm trying to think of like a story that would like encapsulates like this line. But I would say I agree. I don't strongly agree. Sometimes when I'm irritated, especially in some cases, I shut down and just become as numb as like an anesthetic person, like someone who was given anesthesia. I become that numb. But when I still have like emotions in me, but I don't want to like show it off, then I become less. But I adjust to the situations. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm open to doing difficult things. Yes, I am really open to doing difficult things. This weekly podcast indeed is difficult to edit. Hearing my voice every single week, sometimes listening to my podcast. The most difficult thing I have not been able to do is share my podcast to people because I don't believe in telling people anything about myself. I know I'm talking to in my head. I mean, even if I have like 12 people listen to this, in my head, I am the only person who's listened to this, and I don't feel pressured. I validate how other people feel, depending on the feeling. I don't validate every single feeling someone feels. I like if you're a horrible person, I will not validate your feeling, even if you're my friend. Like if you said something that is like mean about another person, even if I don't like the person, like if you said, "Oh my God, Sally looks as fat as a rack," or as fat as an elephant, I'll call you out for it. I'll be like, okay, and you're the thinnest person. Yeah, I don't like people who make fun of other people's weights. I don't like it, and I don't make fun of other people's weights unless okay. I try as much as possible not to. Maybe I have in the past, but I try as much as possible not to. I can adapt to different situations. Yes, I can. Strongly agree. I lived in four different houses growing up. I can adapt to different situations. I do not handle the emotions of others well. I do handle the emotions of others well. Yeah, and I don't think I'm like super close with anybody to like have an emotional connection to people. So I'm like, I will get a really bad call, but I don't think I'm like mean enough to anybody to elicit an emotion from them. I don't like being mean. Um, I think if you're mean, you're an ugly person. No matter how good looking you are. My whole take on mean people is that they're ugly. Even if you're beautiful outside, you smell rotten. I can smell the rottenness from here. Yes, I don't like mean people. They irritate me. I don't know how to explain it. If you're mean to anybody by proxy, I do not care. If I like I try as much as possible not to surround myself with like mean people. I know a few mean people like like if gun to my head, if I would never die for those people. Never. Um if anybody like if that person's life is under any situation, I will let them die. Sorry. I don't like mean people, they irritate me. But I know how to mask it. Like if I'm talking to a mean person and I like profile somebody as a mean person, I'm not just gonna stop talking to them. But if anything bad happens to the person, I still won't, I will laugh in private, not in public. Yeah. Try not to be mean. Try not to be mean. Um, in lighter news, J.K. Rowling is a cancer victim. Yay! I did not understand anything about J.K. Rowling until I started reading a lot of books and people hated J.K. Rowling. So let me give you the brief description on J.K. Rowling. And I really want to talk about this topic. I think that might be the next week's episode. But J.K. Rowling is this writer. She wrote Harry Potter. I never be, before she became the demon that she is today. I have never watched Harry Potter or read any of the books. I know people say it's good. I've never seen anyone, and I'm happy to have never read or watched the movie. I never liked the movie. I was like, no, that's not for me. But for the last like 4 or 5 years, I don't know how long, she's been like really hating on like trans people, and I was like, okay, that's none of my business. And this week we found out she has cancer. Anyways, the last one, I'm gonna get rid of that part, but whatever. Um, I can't identify emotions easily. I can't identify every emotion easily. The hardest one for me to pinpoint when I was growing up was jealousy, because I always experienced I don't know how to explain it to you. I experienced jealousy from age 6 till date. I was always jealous. I don't know how to explain it to you. Like, so I got an 81 out of 100. My whatever. I got a 81 out of 100, and it says I have a high emotional intelligence. So I think this is gonna be the only one. I thought I was gonna be able to take all three websites, but my camera is about to die, and I really enjoyed that. This week I'm reading my I don't know what happened. I just switched off my laptop. This week I'm reading Before You Say Goodbye. It's a really good book. Yeah, that's all I have to say for this week. I don't know if I said it. I think I had said everything I wanted to say at the top of like the episode. So yeah, I have a good emotional intelligence. I knew I was gonna have a good one, but I can't say that for everybody. But you should do a test for yourself. I'll speak to you in next week's episode. I think would be all about religion? Question mark. I really don't know. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.